Welcome back, wizard and witches. You have found the files. Good job. Most Harry Potter theories are wrong. They are entertaining and creative, and the fandom builds them with genuine love. But when you check them against J.K. Rowling's books, most of them fall apart the moment you look at the actual text. But what I found when I went through all of them, every major fan theory, every Reddit deep dive, every Pottermore confirmation J.K. Rowling ever gave, is that 7 of them are not theories at all. 7 of them are true. Not probably true. Not almost true. Not supported by coincidence and wishful reading. True. Confirmed. Sitting in the books in plain sight, waiting for someone to look at them carefully enough. And one of them changes everything you think you know about why Voldemort became who he was. It involves Horcruxes, love potions, and a truth darker than most fans realize. It is not what you expect. And once you know it, every scene with Lord Voldemort reads completely differently. We are going to get to it. But first, I need to take you through the 6 that build toward it, because they are connected. And the connection is the point. Drop a comment right now with the word true if you have suspected any of these. Let's go. Theory 1, Snape was protecting Harry in the very first book, and nobody noticed. In Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by J.K. Rowling, the entire first act is constructed to make Severus Snape look like the villain. He stares at Harry during the sorting feast. He teaches potions with deliberate cruelty. He sneers. He takes points from Gryffindor. He is, by every surface reading, the threat. And meanwhile, Professor Quirrell, bumbling, nervous, always smelling faintly of garlic, is treated as comedy. But here is what was happening the entire time. During the Quidditch match in Chapter 11, Harry's broomstick begins trying to throw him. Hermione Granger spots Snape in the stands, his eyes fixed on Harry, his lips moving without sound. She immediately concludes Snape is jinxing the broom. She runs across the stands and sets fire to his robes. What she did not know, what the reader is not meant to know until much later, is that Snape was not jinxing the broomstick. He was holding the counter-jinx. He was the only person in that stadium actively working to keep Harry Potter alive. And the moment Hermione broke his concentration by setting him on fire, the broom began violently trying to throw Harry off. In other words, the heroes nearly killed Harry by attacking the one person protecting him. That is the architecture of the entire Severus Snape story in miniature. The man who looks like the enemy. The man who is the only shield. This is not a theory. It is in Chapter 11 of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. It was always there. Theory 2. The sorting hat almost changed everything. When 11-year-old Harry Potter sits beneath the sorting hat at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry in September of 1991, something happens that most people who watched the Warner Brothers Harry Potter films directed by Chris Columbus have forgotten. The hat considers Slytherin. In J.K. Rowling's books, the hat speaks directly into Harry's mind. It tells him there is courage in him, yes, but also cunning. A thirst to prove himself. And it says, you could be great, you know. Slytherin would help you on the way to greatness. Harry, knowing what Slytherin means, knowing what it produced, thinks with everything he has. Not Slytherin. The hat pauses, then it places him in Gryffindor. But here is what that means. The hat was not wrong about Harry's qualities. Harry is ambitious. He is cunning. He takes risks that others would call reckless, and he has a natural ability to lead that most 11-year-olds do not possess. Those are Slytherin traits. The hat saw them clearly. What changed the outcome was a choice. Not destiny, not bloodline, not prophecy. Harry Potter looked into his own potential and said no to it, and that choice, made by an 11-year-old boy sitting under a frayed magical hat in a candlelit hall, altered the course of the entire Wizarding War. Because if the hat had placed Harry in Slytherin, he never becomes Ron Weasley's best friend. He never becomes Hermione Granger's closest ally. The Golden Trio does not exist. The Resistance does not form in the way it did. And the 7 books we know, the entire shape of the story, changes completely based on a single 11-year-old refusing one word. The hat nearly said yes. That is in the books. It always was. Theory 3. Peter Pettigrew's silver hand was not a gift. It was a countdown. When Lord Voldemort returns to his body in the Little Hangleton graveyard in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling, he rewards Peter Pettigrew for his loyalty and sacrifice. Pettigrew had cut off his own hand as part of the ritual that restored Voldemort's body. Voldemort gives him a new one, silver, gleaming, seemingly magical and extraordinary, more powerful than the flesh hand it replaced. In Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Harry Potter and Dobby the House Elf are captured and brought to Malfoy Manor. Pettigrew is ordered to deal with them. In the struggle, Harry reminds him of the life debt owed, that Harry once spared Pettigrew's life in the Shrieking Shack, and Pettigrew hesitates. The silver hand, given to him by Lord Voldemort as a reward, detects the hesitation. It turns on its owner. It wraps around his throat and begins strangling him. Pettigrew dies by the hand that Voldemort gave him for his loyalty. In the moment, he almost chose something better. The instrument of his reward became the instrument of his punishment. J.K. Rowling built that into the structure of the story and never called attention to it. It is just there, sitting in the text, one of the most precise acts of narrative justice in the entire series. Theory 4. Petunia Dursley knew everything. Her hatred was never ignorance. Petunia Dursley, played by Fiona Shaw in the Warner Brothers Harry Potter films, is presented throughout the series as petty, small, and willfully ignorant of the world her sister Lily Evans Potter inhabited. She refuses to say the word magic. She dismisses everything connected to Hogwarts' School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. She raises Harry in a cupboard and pretends the wizarding world does not exist. But here is what the films never told you clearly enough. She knows what a Dementor is. When Albus Dumbledore's Howler arrives in Harry Potter, and the Order of the Phoenix warning that Harry must remain with the Dursleys at Privet Drive for the protection to hold, Petunia understands it immediately. She knows about the protection. She knows why it works. She knows what Voldemort is. She knows because she spent years watching her sister be pulled into a world that Petunia desperately wanted to be part of. She applied to Hogwarts. She wanted to go. She was told she had no magic, and she could not come. And then the world that rejected her killed her sister. Her hatred of magic is not ignorance. It is grief that curdled into resentment over 30 years. The woman who sneers at every mention of the wizarding world is the same woman who once wrote a letter to Albus Dumbledore begging him to let her attend. And Dumbledore turned her away. That is in the books. That is canon. And it reframes every scene with Petunia Dursley from petty cruelty into something that is much harder to dismiss. Before we continue, only a small fraction of you watching right now are subscribed to Potter Files. We go deeper into the wizarding world than anyone else on YouTube. Hit subscribe so you do not miss the next one. Theory 5. The prophecy was entirely self-fulfilling. Voldemort created his own destroyer. In Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix by J.K. Rowling, we learn the full text of the prophecy made by Sybill Trelawney to Albus Dumbledore at the Hogshead Inn in Hogsmeade. The one with the power to vanquish the Dark Lord approaches, born to those who have thrice defied him, born as the 7th month dies. And the Dark Lord will mark him as his equal, but he will have power the Dark Lord knows not. That phrase, the Dark Lord will mark him as his equal. 2 children born at the end of July in 1980 fit the first part of the prophecy. Harry Potter and Neville Longbottom, whose parents were both members of the Order of the Phoenix who had defied Voldemort 3 times. The prophecy could have applied to either of them. What made it apply to Harry was Voldemort's choice. By going to Godric's Hollow and attempting to kill Harry Potter, Voldemort marked him with a scar, with a piece of his own soul, with the very act of trying to destroy him. He created the connection that made Harry his equal. He created the Horcrux he never intended to create. He tethered Harry to life through Lily's sacrificial magic. Without Voldemort's choice, there is no chosen one. The prophecy did not predict an inevitable future. It predicted a future that only became inevitable because Voldemort tried to prevent it. He heard the first half of the prophecy, acted on it, and in doing so fulfilled every word. He built the weapon that killed him, and he did it himself. Theory 6. Dumbledore planned his own death for more than a year. When Albus Dumbledore dies at the top of the Astronomy Tower in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince by J.K. Rowling, the scene is constructed to feel like a tragedy that caught the reader by surprise. Draco Malfoy is there. The Death Eaters have breached Hogwarts' School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and Severus Snape delivers the killing curse, Avada Kedavra, before anyone can stop him. But here is what was actually happening. At the beginning of that school year, Dumbledore had placed the Ring of Marvolo Gaunt on his hand to destroy it. The ring contained the Resurrection Stone, one of the 3 Deathly Hallows. It also contained a curse so powerful that it began spreading through his wand arm immediately. Dumbledore went to Severus Snape. Snape contained the curse. But contained is not the same as cured. Dumbledore was dying. The curse would reach his heart within a year. What followed was not improvisation. Dumbledore and Snape made a plan. Snape would kill Dumbledore when the moment presented itself, killing him before the curse did, on Dumbledore's terms, in a way that preserved Snape's cover with Lord Voldemort, protected Draco Malfoy from having to commit murder, and ensured the Elder Wand's allegiance passed in the direction Dumbledore intended. Every scene in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince where Dumbledore teaches Harry about Horcruxes, every memory in the pensive, every piece of information he passes on, it is a dying man arranging everything for the people who will still be here when he is not. He spent an entire school year saying goodbye. And nobody knew. Not until the very end. Theory 7. Voldemort could never love because he was born from one. This is the one I told you at the beginning, the one that changes everything. Tom Marvolo Riddle, Lord Voldemort, is incapable of love. This is stated in the books. Albus Dumbledore tells Harry that Voldemort cannot comprehend love, cannot feel it, has never felt it. It is presented as the defining limitation that allows Harry to defeat him, love being the magic that Voldemort has no defense against. But the books also tell us exactly why this is true. And it is not nature. It is not that Tom Riddle was simply born evil. His mother, Merope Gaunt, was a pure-blood witch living in poverty and abuse in a village called Little Hangleton. She became obsessed with a muggle man named Tom Riddle Sr., a wealthy and handsome local who had no interest in her. She used Amortentia, the most powerful love potion in existence, to make him want her. They married. She became pregnant. Then, believing he had genuinely come to love her, or perhaps just exhausted and desperate, Merope stopped giving him the potion. He left her immediately. Merope Gaunt died shortly after giving birth in Wool's orphanage in London, having lost the will to live, and the child she produced, born of an enforced attachment, born of a woman who had given up, born into abandonment from his first breath, grew up to become Lord Voldemort. J.K. Rowling confirmed this directly. She stated that Voldemort's inability to love is connected to the circumstances of his conception, that being the product of a love potion meant he came into the world in an act that mimicked love, but contained none. He was not born without love because of who he was. He was born without love because of what was done to his parents before he existed. That is the darkest confirmed theory in the entire series. Not a villain who chose evil, a person who was robbed of the capacity for love before he took his first breath. And HBO's Harry Potter series, written by showrunner Francesca Gardiner and produced by David Heyman, who also produced all 8 original Warner Bros. Films, has 8 full episodes to tell this story properly in Season 6 when it premieres December 2026. To sit in that orphanage. To show who Tom Riddle was before he decided what he would become. With Dominic McLaughlin as Harry, John Lithgow as Dumbledore, and Paapa Essiedu as Snape, this version can explore depths that Daniel Radcliffe's films never had time for. That has never been done. That is the thing I cannot wait to see. So here is what I want from you. Which of these 7 changed how you read the books most? Was it Snape holding the counter-jinx while everyone thought he was the threat? Pettigrew's silver hand turning against him? Petunia's letter to Dumbledore? Or the truth about how Voldemort was born? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. If you are new here, subscribe. We go deeper into the wizarding world than anyone else. And if you want to know what happens when these theories collide with the HBO series, the 5 things HBO must get right is linked right here, and the Dumbledore villain video is right here. Watch them both. Until next time, mischief managed.